I may actually start sitting in that seat. Mhm.
Welcome to This Week in Real Estate with Jonatan Harmon. Listen in as him and other members of the J Harmon Home Team speak about all things real estate with local experts here in the Middle Tennessee area. Be sure to check out jharmonhometeam.com for more information and how to get in touch with our amazing team. Welcome to the show.
All right. We got a little bit more inspirational music. Feeling pretty good. Get that heart rate pumping. Trent, I'm not gonna lie, man. Every time I hear that, I get just a little bit excited. You did a good job on that intro, buddy.
Thank you.
Yep, it's excellent. So, welcome to This Week in Real Estate. My name's Jonatan Harmon. I'm with the J Harmon Home Team, powered by Keller Williams, and we have an awesome guest with us. This is Natalie Wilson of the Parks office, Bob Parks office in Smyrna. I know I'm not supposed to say Bob Parks, but
it's okay.
Yeah. Every time I say Parks in Smyrna, I think of Parks and Recreation. So I'm like, I gotta make sure I clarify that it is in fact the real estate firm that's right there on Sam Ridley. So
funny story. Can I say it really quick? Because we Parks office decided to run, and Smyrna Parks and Rec were putting it on, right? And so we kept saying Parks, and everybody had to say, "Are you talking about your Parks office?" Or I mean, it got a lot of confusion was going on because the Parks, team at our Smyrna, the Smyrna Parks and Rec, they go.
So you're confused right now.
Yeah, I mean, it was all confusion. So I get it. So Bob Parks is fine. Anyway.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was Bob Parks for forever.
It was.
Yeah, I mean, since I can remember.
Red and yellow and right. Remember all that?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Now it's just pretty blue and white.
Blue. Yeah.
It's lovely. So Natalie Wilson, also fellow Rotarian, she and I, and then her husband Phil are all in the Smyrna Rotary Club together. So gotten to know them a little bit, serving our community through there, and then of course Phil somehow lost his mind and ran for public office. Which could you not talk him out of that?
Last year was a blur.
Yeah. No kidding.
I know it was. How we were doing real estate and a campaign, you got a primary and then you got to win that. And then,
I know.
Then go to John. It was hot.
Yeah.
Oh, this time last year we were sitting outside.
Yeah. Yeah. No, thank you. So County Commissioner Phil Wilson, what district is he?
District 10.
District 10. Gotcha. Yeah. I know he's where my mom lives. That's all I know. So
yes. She had a sign, I think.
She did. She had a great big old sign out in the front yard.
Yeah.
But anyway, so really, really cool couple and great servants to the Smyrna community, and then also bigger than that as well. But certainly for that area. So what we're going to talk about today, I almost forgot, Trent. Before we do that, we're going to hear from my friend Bryan Nale at Primis Mortgage, proud supporter of Spread the Positive, and another guy that is really active in our community. So let's hear from him real quick.
Hey, my name is Bryan Nale. I'm a mortgage loan officer with Primis Bank Mortgage. I want to tell you that I absolutely love being a member of the Spread the Positive Network. It's such a great mission and helps bring so much positivity to our community. It's truly a pleasure to be part of. There are a lot of ways to navigate financing a home, and in markets like this, having the advice of a trusted local professional is key to making sure you get the right advice for your specific circumstances. Whether you're interested in the purchase of a new home, second home, or have a need for a refinance, I'd love to earn your trust. If I can help you nail your mortgage, call me at 615-243-3976 or visit nailyourmortgage.com.
Primis Mortgage is a subsidiary of Primis Bank, a member FDIC, equal housing opportunity. As always, all loans are subject to approval. Primis Mortgage, NMLS number 1894879.
Bryan, for supporting Spread the Positive and all the things that happen here in our community. So, Natalie, we're going to dive right into you. And since Phil's not here, we're not even going to really talk about him too much. So, sorry, bud. But anyway, so you've been an agent now for 6 years, going on 7.
Yep.
What did you do prior to that? What's your background?
My background is in banking, but it's also I walked away from that and then went and got my master's in counseling and did some of that as well. So I'm a little mixture of kind of the banking business world numbers and also people, right?
Yeah.
Working with people. So real estate is kind of perfect for both,
I was
right?
gonna say that's an excellent mixture
It is.
for
It is.
what we do now for
I mean,
sure.
really, people and their emotions, and
Yeah.
buying and selling is emotional for a lot of people. So having to understand that nuance, right? And
Yeah.
how to get to what maybe really is the issue, the right kind of questions to ask. So I kind of bring that skill. And then, the no two transactions are the same, and no two
For sure.
people are the same, right?
For sure.
So
Even within a couple.
that's
right?
exactly. That's
Yeah.
exactly right. Right.
And I think it's important that I wish that more agents would really grasp that, and that is that it is not just a business transaction,
Absolutely.
right?
Right.
I mean, even bless my heart, I'm in the market for buying a car right now, and
Ugh.
I mean,
Ugh.
I hate it. I hate everything about it.
Yeah.
But basically, it's a
Yeah.
business transaction. There's some emotion tied into it because it's a chunk of money,
Yeah.
and um, in my case, it is essentially my office is what
Yeah.
it basically amounts to. Um, but it is still basically a business transaction. The home transaction, especially in residential real estate, there's a lot of emotion tied into that.
Absolutely.
People at 5 years old, they lay in bed and they think about what their first house is gonna look like, and
Yes.
they're gonna raise their kids there, and they're gonna,
Yeah.
have a dog, and they're gonna, have a tire swing or
Yep.
whatever, right?
Yes.
And they've been planning that subconsciously, consciously in their heads for, in some cases, decades.
That's right.
And the first time that you tell them, "Yeah, that's not gonna work," it can be devastating.
Yeah. Oh, and I find with people especially if it's a couple that has children, let's say, okay, so that they've had their kids there, right? Now they're attached because there's memories there,
Yeah,
right? So, um, and if the kids are upset or sad, man, does that hurt mama,
yeah,
dad. And so I always like to talk about that. I was like, let's talk about that. Like, let's hey, can I offer some ways that we can maybe help? What you can say, or even when I talk to the kids, even being aware when I'm in the home that they feel that way, right?
sure.
Um, everything is it really is emotional. It's about people, right? And
Mhm.
I think sometimes we can forget as agents, it really is people, it's emotions, I, it's not just a business. It is business, but there's more to it.
Yeah. Well, and so it's a great segue because of course, the real estate story of the year right now is the shift that we've
Yeah,
experienced over the last, kind of rolling year here,
yeah,
with interest rates spiking and, coming off of, some pretty hefty inflation numbers, within housing. And there's so many different emotions right now. I talk to people that go, "Oh,"
hmm,
like they're just racked with guilt because they didn't buy 3 years
that's
ago,
exactly right. Yep.
right? Or they're almost feel like they've lost something,
Hmm.
because they waited too
They
long.
waited too long. I hear that a lot.
Or there's the fear of, this anxiety of, do I just go ahead and pull the trigger now, or is
Yeah.
everything going to be better a year
Uh-huh.
from now?
Uh-huh.
I don't know how to answer that.
Yeah.
I know what I think I know,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's and like one of my answers to that is if we get a year from now and you look back and it
Mhm.
is worse, right? A worse environment for you as a
Mhm.
buyer,
Mhm.
how are you going to feel about that?
Right. Right.
And so then how do we mitigate that damage? Like how do we get through that? And it's so dependent on their beliefs, their mindset,
That's just the mindset. Yeah.
their experiences,
Yeah.
all of those things.
Well, and don't you think facts,
Yeah,
right? I think fear is the driver, right? I mean, fear is
sure.
sales, right?
Right.
Right. And so, but there's realistic. You have to talk to an agent who actually is in the market. I always say
In your
your
target
local
market. Yes.
market. I've said this a few times and people have laughed. I'm like, I'm boots on the ground, right? I mean, so I'm feet on the street in the market, right?
Mhm.
As you are.
Mhm.
And so not everything that you're hearing national news.
And there's no such thing as a national housing market. It's all hyper local markets.
It's right, it's local. So what's going on in the local market, right? And
Mhm.
so that's where I think we have to bring facts and data if they'll listen, which they do, because once they talk to somebody who's in the market,
right.
then you can.
Yeah, because Rutherford is not Davidson, and neither one of them are Williamson,
Neither one of them
and
are
neither
Williamson.
one of them are coffee.
That's exact. We just had that conversation yesterday to somebody. And so I was saying, okay, so Williamson is different. And I had a conversation the week before prior to, I was referred, I helped somebody sell their home this year, a couple, and moved to Missouri, and they have referred someone to us. So they called and they thought they wanted, Williamson. And so I said, okay, so what do you know about Williamson? Right. So let's talk through what you need, what are your needs. And as we started talking, all they had only heard of in this area is just move to Williamson, right?
Great schools.
Great schools. That's exactly what they said. Great schools. So, I work Rutherford mainly. And so let me tell you about Rutherford and let me tell you the difference. And price wise, guess where they needed to be?
Not in Williamson.
Not in Williamson.
Right.
Yeah. So,
and by the way, number 2 schools in the state are what?
Rutherford.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Right.
Just filling everybody in on that. We don't do as good a job of advertising that, but it is fact.
It is fact. I mean, did you? Phil's not here, or he would get off on that because he's on health and ed. But we're the 4th largest school district here in Rutherford in the state of Tennessee.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't know that until he got in. But anyway.
So we're doing some things right too. We
yes,
don't
we are.
brag.
We just don't brag enough.
As
we don't.
loud. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. You got it. So what? Let's get into the market a little bit. So what are you seeing on your listings? What are some of the struggles? Some of the ways to win right now on listings?
We're seeing that if anything is in the 3s, even to I'd say 450, 460, we've been having success. We've even had multiple offers. The market's still moving.
Sure. And essentially that price point defines a starter home.
That's was exactly. So if you're, that's exactly right. If you're new into the market, or even somebody who's maybe moving up and maybe you had something, you bought a few years ago, maybe this is where you need to be. I think that what we're seeing is if maybe you were in the 6s and the 5s, because of the rates, you may be looking in the 450s, 460s now because of what you're going to pay each month. Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen a little bit of that, but we're having success. We've had success in that. The 5s are a little bit, I mean,
I'd say 5s all the way to 7s.
All the way to 7. That's exactly right. Yes. And anything, then you get over that, then that's moving, right?
Right.
But I'm seeing it's sitting longer. Days on market are longer. That's one of the things that we tell people. It doesn't matter what the price is. We tell people days on market. If you look at what it was a year ago and what it is now, I mean, the stats will tell you days on market's longer. Mm-hmm. So expect
to try to fish for a price. That's the other thing. I mean, you walked in when you got here, and I was on the phone with a client, and we're struggling a little bit to try to find the right price.
Yeah.
And it's what we've listed it at. Comps support that, but the activity doesn't. So we're wrapping our heads around the fact that the market has told us
that's right,
that we're wrong.
I had that conversation yesterday, So, I mean, and that's what we had to say. And we said to them, we'll before we even put the house on the market, comp support, but let me tell you what the market is doing. So, and your sellers don't want to feel like they've missed something, right? Nor do we want them to miss something. We don't want to leave money on the table. So, but after these many showings, the market is telling us something, right?
Yeah.
And so we have to listen to what the market is telling us.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's tough. And it's, I think for me, the number one thing that kind of defines this market is volatility and unpredictability. Mm-hmm. I've had some stuff that has pulled multiple offers after being listed for 45 days. And I've had some stuff that pulls multiple offers right away. And I've had some stuff that quite frankly should have.
Yeah.
And it just crickets. It just didn't do anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I sit there and I kind of scratch my head. I'm like, I thought I was pretty good at this, but suddenly I don't feel like I am.
Yeah.
sometimes. And that's challenging.
Do you guys, I'm sure you do. I know you do. We try to be data heavy, Phil and I, when we talk to a client and we talk to anybody, and we're going to list their home, we say to them, look, we try to take our emotion out of it. We kind of put it off to the side for a second, and we just look at the let's look at the data, right? And we do some stuff where we have graphs where, and we'll look at them and we'll say, okay, based on this, what is this saying to you, right?
Yes.
Like we put it back a little bit on them, right?
Mhm.
So, we're here to help you and advise you on it. So but we have to price this house right? We have to price it right. So,
And we may miss.
and that's what, and we may miss, right? And that's exactly right. That's
Yeah.
key.
And it's an uncomfortable situation. It's an uncomfortable conversation to have, to say, essentially, I don't know the exact right answer. Because I like knowing the exact right
Oh,
answer.
I do I mean, it's hard for me when we have to have that conversation to, well, we have the
Yeah.
the market has told us, right?
Yeah.
And we got it wrong, right? I don't
Yeah.
like to have to do that.
Well, and then you start getting into dissecting comps. Well, the one across the street did this
Yes.
and did this and did this. Well, yeah, but it doesn't have this and it didn't do that and it does have this and and it's like, well, how do you assign value to that? And the reality is you don't. I mean, it
Yeah.
just comes down to preference and it comes down to kind of the moment, right? And I think the other thing that we're up against is interest rates have done what the Federal Reserve set out to do,
Yes.
which is cool everything down.
Yes.
And I think when you walked in, I was saying that sense of urgency just isn't there, right? And
Right.
so people know that they can look at a house, sleep on it,
That's right.
look at a house again, and not. But here's the thing: not every time,
Right.
right? There's some that they go immediately.
That's right.
And so it's just kinda cooled everybody down. People are thinking a little longer. People are thinking a little harder. Do we
Yeah.
really wanna do this?
Yeah. Yeah. And you and I know they're buying their mortgage payment, right?
Mhm.
Right? People
Mhm.
buy their a mortgage. I mean, they're
How much is a house?
how much is the it's
$1,500 a month or $2,000 a month or
yeah, it's
whatever.
not the price, right?
Right.
It's what am I going to have to pay a month, right? And so yeah, it's interesting. It is. Phil and I talk about it a lot because this is what we do, and I like to have things that I can know and understand. This market has just with buyers even. Some buyers we've had, like you said, we've had time to consider it, and then some they're already in a multiple offer. So what do we want to do? I mean, I just had that recently. We
Yeah.
won it, thank goodness. But we had to go a little over, right? I mean,
Mhm.
wait, we had to go over what? What?
But I thought the market was slowing down. Yeah, I know. And
Yeah,
that's just it. It's volatility.
it is. It is. And I think, don't you think fear is driving?
I think so. We had a couple of little bumps where the rates dipped for a very short period of
Yeah.
time, and we immediately saw people go, "Okay, this is it," and then they jumped in.
Yeah.
And they were extremely short lived. But
They were.
it's. I think that's it. I think we have rate sensitivity to the
Yeah.
extreme right now.
Yeah.
What's interesting about that, we were talking about this too, is that because of that, because you have people that are sitting in their homes right now, and they are, maybe they're at anywhere from 1 point something to 4 point something interest rate, and they bought their house 3 or 4 or 5 years ago, and they bought it. They're sitting on a ton of equity because the market appreciated so quickly.
Mm-hmm.
They're looking at things going, I, I can't afford to sell my house right now.
No.
If I sell my house, my rate's going to be twice as high.
Mm-hmm.
My property has gone up, 80 to 100% in that period of time. So my payment, to your point, is going to be at least double, if not more. And I'm not going to really get to move up that much in house.
That's right.
So why would I sell my house right now?
Yeah.
So unless it's a life circumstance of some sort,
Unless divorce, death,
yeah,
a
job
relocation. That's right.
A new baby or a
Yeah.
bunch of new babies
Yeah.
or whatever.
Yeah.
There's just not a whole lot of people that are selling just for the sake of selling right now.
I know. And so what do you think's going to happen when the rates do come down? And you and I don't know when those will be, right? I
Sure.
mean,
6
people
months, a year.
Right.
18 months. I
I
don't
can
know.
remember back in January, and I had some lenders several
By
saying,
the end of the year.
well, I even had one say, by May and June, you better be careful. I don't know.
Yeah.
Where are you getting that,
By
from?
the end of the year, we'll be back in the mid fives
Yes.
to high fours. And
Yes.
I'm like, I'm sitting here now going, I don't think so, y'all.
I don't think so either.
I was saying that, like,
Yeah.
based on what everybody was telling me, and I just don't know that that's going to happen. So, what has come of this is you have a handful of medium to larger builders,
Mhm.
and they're thriving right now.
Oh, yeah, they are.
I mean, they're building all kinds of stuff, and it's you look. I say thriving; they're not necessarily moving them, but that's what's dominating the listings.
It is. It is.
I think there's, and I don't remember, is the first time that the number of new construction listings had gone. I think it was Trent. Do you remember this from that last conversation? I don't remember. It was like 30% of all listings are new construction right now. It may even be higher than that. That's crazy.
And okay, so we sold a home this year, and one of the things, and it was an existing home, so 2000, built in 2001. You could literally take a stone, and if you could throw really hard, you could hit a new subdivision, right?
Mhm.
Um and one of the things I did was I pulled it up, and I said, let's look at what a new construction home right over here will cost versus your home that is existing, right? And they were like, well, but we've got this, backyard that nobody backs up to. That is correct. Yes, you do.
Doesn't
Yes.
have a value, has curb appeal.
Yeah, it has curb appeal. That's right. And you got a fence. Every bit of that is true. And somebody's going to want that. And you're in a cul-de-sac. You're absolutely correct. But do you have quartz countertops? Is everything brand new? So we went through all
Mhm.
that list, and it's like, look at your price, look at where, your price will be, and comps support that, and then let's look at a new build. That is
That's your
that's your
competition.
competition.
Yeah.
And so, um, having them look at it and see it helped them mentally, so that,
Mhm.
you know,
Well, and new construction has gone back to offering some incentives. They've
uh-huh.
some upgrades, some different things like that. It's interesting right now. So I think you hit the nail on the head, and that is that the best way to navigate this industry, to navigate this market right now, is to get somebody that is local, that
Yes,
is doing the
absolutely.
work in
Yes.
the area that you're
Yes.
looking, or in the area that you are selling,
Hands down.
and understands that nuance, right? Because it's not what happens in Smyrna does not necessarily happen in Woodbury,
That's right.
right?
That's
And
right.
what happens in Hendersonville does not necessarily happen in Bellevue. So
Yes.
make sure you have somebody that's plugged in enough to understand that.
Yeah. In fact, somebody made that so funny you said that. Somebody was talking about, and I actually said, they asked, do you sell in Cannon County? And I said, I have, and I can, but do I know that market like I know Rutherford? I
Mhm.
mean, I have to be honest with you. I don't want to, yes, we can sell a house. I mean, or you can, help you find a home there. But do I
Right.
know this is where we sort of work, right? Is in this area. Um, I'm just honest with them. I mean,
Sure. And then you take the time, if it makes sense for them, it makes sense for you to learn that market a little bit. And
absolutely.
um, but I think ultimately you typically serve your client better to enlist the help of someone that does do activity
Absolutely.
in that market.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So, all right, let's do this. So, been an agent for 6 years. Give me, in a nutshell, sum up the difference between this year, last year. Like, do a time lapse for me, right?
Okay.
So 5 years, 6 years ago, when you got into the industry,
Mhm. Mhm.
3 more years forward, last year, and now. How has it? We'll
Mm.
go twofold on this. How
Okay.
has the market evolved? Okay, and how has the Wilsons Realtors team evolved?
Mm. Well, these are good.
Yeah.
I often say when I got in, I will say to Phil, "Oh, do you remember 2017 and 18?" I loved those. People could find there was affordability, right? Um, rates and prices of homes, right? So that's where, and it was great. I enjoyed I probably got in at a great time, right? 2008, and I was at Deutsche Bank, and the bulk of our business was mortgage-backed securities, and the team that I ran. So I remember that, right? Even though I wasn't in real estate, mortgage-backed securities, right?
Oh
So,
yeah.
okay, so 2008 happened, and then, it took about, what, 6, 7 years really to recover, you think,
About
from
13 we started.
Yeah.
We were flat. 14 we started kind of an upward trend.
Yeah, because I was gonna say it took a few years to really sort of climb out of that, right? So when I came in the beginning of 2017, life was good, right? Things were selling,
But it
and
wasn't absolutely completely insane.
no, it wasn't. No, no, not at all. I mean, it was you could negotiate. I mean, there were just,
Sure.
when 2020 happened in 2021, I remember talking to a lender the beginning of 2021 going, "Ooh, I don't like this market." People were loving it, and I'm like, "This is unrealistic. This is like a unicorn. This is not realistic, and and if this keeps going, this is unsustainable and it's unrealistic."
Yeah. 20 and 21, 31% each year.
Yeah,
Appreciation.
and that's unrealistic.
It
Homes what?
shouldn't happen.
It shouldn't happen. Homes appreciate
3
what,
to
3 to 4 to
5. Yeah.
5%. And I tell people that when we talk to them, and I say, look, if you held on to something and it appreciated at that, and you sold it in 10 years, would you be happy with that? They're like, yeah. I'm like, because that's what's normal.
Yeah.
So what we were in just wasn't normal, and it was a struggle for buyers. I mean, having to waive everything,
Yeah.
So I mean, it was great for
Well,
sellers.
and your first time, but even there, it kind of wasn't, because it generated a different kind of anxiety, right?
Oh yeah.
We've got 30 offers on the table. Well, how in the world do we
Yes.
pick?
Yeah.
I
Oh
mean, we
yeah.
can start comparing numbers, and then we can start comparing, this loan is different from this loan,
Yes.
or this loan officer is different. And I mean,
Yeah, it was that. You're right, and I remember some sellers being so overwhelmed.
yeah,
We would sit down at the table, and they would just
40 showings in 2 days,
yeah,
stuff like that. I mean,
yeah.
that's stressful.
It was stressful. It was, right. Um, so a lot of people loved it and did really well, and yes, but I didn't. I personally thought it was chaotic, and I didn't like it. I
Hmm.
just didn't. I
Yeah,
mean, that's, as
I
far
don't
as
disagree with you.
it was unrealistic and unsustainable, and I knew that when everything leveled out, then we were gonna have this people were going to expect that their home was now go well,
Yeah.
you're not gonna get that, I'm sorry, So, um,
Well, and it also generated a lot of headlines, and it generated a lot of activity, or attention rather. And because of that, our industry got flooded with people
yeah,
trying to make some money.
yeah, absolutely.
And I can understand that.
Yeah,
I don't fault them for trying to make a living, or whatever, but not everybody invested in themselves the same.
and I saw service go down, and that's a
Hmm.
big you say, "How did we evolve?" And feeling I really do care. I mean, I know sounds cliche, but, I wanna add more value. And we say, are we adding more value than anyone else,
Sure.
around us? I mean, and it's about the value that we can offer and give to somebody. And so I just saw a lot of people, and I heard people that I respect. Just you don't need to do. People would laugh at it. Why are you doing the same standard you always do? Why would
Hmm.
you do that, right? And I remembered in 2020, right, we had been talking about it and decided we were gonna do we were gonna change our marketing, and we were gonna add more, we were gonna do more, and then the pandemic hit, like, literally in March, I think it was, of 2020, right? And so, I was like, "Well, we're not going backwards, we're gonna do more, add more, how can we grow?" We got a coach at that time, all of it, right? Like, we put more money in,
Hmm.
not less,
Hmm.
in a market where people were going, "You don't need to." I'm like,
Right.
"Oh, no, I think you do. I think,
The time to capitalize on
time to
that.
capitalize." But it was the service that I saw people not receiving the service, which was really hard for me to take, because I think, I mean, regardless of the market, people deserve,
Yeah.
you to add value to them.
Yeah.
And
Well, yeah, exactly. And when I teach some of the MTAR classes, I actually taught this past Friday, for the first time in a while, or 2 Fridays ago rather. And one of the things that I tell new agents, and this is a stark, harsh reality for us in this industry is we think that we sell a house, we think that we
Right.
do this stuff, and the reality is there is nothing that we do in this business on this in this role in this business that somebody couldn't do for themselves.
Right.
Nothing.
True. True.
Nothing that they couldn't do for themselves.
Right.
So basically, our job really is to make their lives easier.
Yeah.
Right. So it's expectation setting and
Yes.
management. It is
Yes.
doing something better than they could do on their own without a whole lot of work. It's
Yes.
having the tools, it's having the knowledge, it's having that stuff at our instant recall
Yes.
that, I always liken it to this. I could rebuild a transmission in my car. I could, right? It would take me days.
Mhm.
I'd watch 20,000
That's how
YouTube
much
videos.
YouTube videos.
I'd
Yeah.
have to go buy tools every so often. But I could do it. But if I need the transmission rebuilt in my car, I'm not going to redo it because I'm going to hire somebody that can do it in a day,
That's right.
already has the tools,
That's right.
already has the knowledge, because that makes my life easier.
That's right.
Right. And there's a value in that justifies the price of that.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So if we don't make our clients' lives easier,
That's right.
we don't justify our price.
That's correct. That's right. Hands down. I couldn't have said it better. That's so true. Man, isn't it? I mean, truly, it is. How
Yeah.
can we make their lives easier, serve them? But it's absolutely correct. And I love what you said. You have to justify your price.
Yeah. And it's been interesting to do transactions with people in the last several years as our numbers have swelled, and it's been interesting to see that and for me to and listen, contrary to what you might believe, I'm a pretty nice guy. Um, but sometimes I hang up the phone with someone and I'm like, how did you get a client? Like, seriously, how did you get a client? And I feel bad for thinking that, but then I'm like, no, I don't feel bad for thinking that because
Yeah.
your client is suffering right now.
Yeah. Uh, that really angered Phil. If Phil were here, he would tell you it is the one thing that I get really upset about.
Yeah.
I think people deserve better service out. And why do they go? Is it just because, hey, I don't, this was somebody was referred to me. This was just somebody who'll do it,
It's my friend or it's my cousin or it's
yes. Yeah.
whatever, or it's the first person I met at an open house, which listen, and I want to ask you this question too.
Okay.
But I built my business on two things. So my business was built on my sphere of influence, number one.
Yep.
So I tell people I started my real estate career when I was about 6, right? Building the relationships in my hometown, all that kind of stuff. Smyrna.
Yeah.
And so my sphere of influence and open houses.
Yeah.
That is how I built my business.
Okay.
That's it. It
Okay.
wasn't social media.
Yeah.
I did social media, but
Yeah.
that's not where I got the majority of my clients. Now, you could say that people found out that I was doing what I was doing and I wasn't shy about talking about my successes and things.
Yeah.
So it probably helped.
Yeah.
But ultimately, sphere of influence
Yeah.
and open houses. So
Can I ask you a question?
uh-huh.
Would you say that open houses, if you had to do it over again, would open houses be something you do today? And do you still think that way about open houses?
Yes.
Because there's I hear both sides, right?
Here's how I look at it. So I think that there's ways to do open houses and there's ways not to.
Okay.
Okay. And I think if you go into an open house with the idea that I'm having this open house in order to pick up buyer clients, then you're automatically doing it wrong.
Yeah.
Right.
I agree.
The whole purpose of having an open house is to sell the house that you're holding open. Period.
Right.
So your goal is to show all the things that are in that house, to know enough about the market, to know how it stacks up to the next door neighbor's house, to be able to say why this house is worth the price that it's listed at and why it's worth buying. If that doesn't work, if that person doesn't want to do that, if they don't like that house for whatever reason, right? Yeah, get that answer first. Then you can say, okay, well, if you don't like this one, I know of these. But I think if you approach it with, hey, you're unrepresented, great, let me be your agent. It feels slimy.
Icky. It feels
Yeah.
icky, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, it does.
I agree.
So, yes, I think open houses are great, and especially if you're not, from a community,
Yeah.
but you gotta do them right. You gotta go preview all the competition. You gotta know everything there is to know about the neighborhood. You gotta know about the schools.
Yeah.
You can get tours of schools, by the way,
Yeah. Yeah, you can.
if you call and ask the principal. You gotta know, what is going on this vacant lot over here. That, oh,
Mhm.
that's gonna be a MAPCO, or that's gonna be a car wash, or that's
Yeah.
gonna be a whatever.
Yeah.
You gotta know all that stuff. And so I think if you just show up to try to get buyer clients, I don't think that you do it right.
Yeah.
So if you put in the work,
Yeah.
right, then open houses are great. It's an opportunity to meet people.
Yeah. And I'm glad you said it that way because I think a lot of times it is, especially when I got into the business and it was, "Hey, go do an open house." And I remember doing one and I was so uncomfortable, and confidence, is a big thing in this industry, right?
Sure.
But
That
I'm
fine line of confidence and arrogance.
yes, absolutely. Yeah, not arrogance, but confident. And I wasn't confident because I did not know this area. I didn't know
Mhm.
the builder. I didn't know the houses. I hadn't done that work. I just was told, "Hey, go do an open house." And I thought, okay, so we had a few people come in and talked about what I did know. And, but I was like, I don't know this house. I don't know this. I don't know this house. I don't know
And
this
definitely
market.
not the
I
neighborhood.
don't know the neighborhood. Right. I'd never even been to that, shame on me. Right. But
Sure.
I was brand new to it. And so, you just do what sort of like somebody tells you to do. And then I realized really quickly, okay, no, I won't sell it this way, nor will I. No, who would want to use me, right? If they walked in the door and
Sure.
I'm not, I
The
mean,
person's clueless.
yeah, yeah. I
Mhm.
mean, honestly. So then I knew then I was like, no, there's got to be a better way to do it. And I don't mind doing it on my own homes that I list because I know this property. I
Right.
know this house. I know this area. You seem to know more when it's your listing.
Sure.
Um,
Well, you had to do
but
at least some of the homework.
you had to just lose some of the homework. That's right.
Right.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. So I cut you off. Sorry. But when you
No,
said that
it's
about
okay.
open house, I was like, ooh, and I
So,
love that you said that.
what about you? How did you guys break into the industry? What was your secret to get started?
I was I was well, first of all, I wasn't looking for real estate, I gotta be honest. So I had someone call me 3 times, 3 weeks in a row saying, "I need to give real estate a chance." And probably because she probably knew my background, right? And so I kept blowing her off like, "No, no, not real estate. Isn't it a flooded market?" I mean, all that kind of
Mhm.
stuff, right?
Mhm.
Um, but after her 3rd call to me, I thought, "Okay, wait." And Phil and I were headed to a wedding, so, I was like he said, "I think you should maybe do it." "Really? You do?" And so I started praying about it, and so, okay, I jump into it, and I was really blessed that I got in it, and I set a goal to have a client in 30 days. I wanted a buyer within 30 days, and a week in the business, I got a buyer, right? That someone, it was just it was a blessing. It was a blessing how that worked out. So, I didn't know what I didn't know. Do you know? I mean, I know you can take all the classes, but until your boots are on the ground, right?
Yeah.
You know, I remember being so nervous about I wanna make sure I don't screw up the questions he may have about the house that we're seeing, all of
Oh,
that,
yeah.
right? Um,
It's definitely an industry of you don't know and what you don't know.
no, and
Like, you don't even know that bodies of information exist. Eh,
that's correct.
like, entire swaths of information, you have no idea it exists.
You don't, and I understood that people are gonna be paying. I mean, this is a home, and it's an investment for them, and there's money, a lot of money attached to this, and I want to provide great service, right, and
Right.
value, and I wanna make sure that I answer, so it was Parks had a really great program, and that they have a mentor that you can, so that was really I was blessed to have that as well, that the mentor would go with me, if I needed her to be
Sure.
with me just in the background in case I needed to ask a question. So, but anyway, I'm sorry, you probably asked a different question and I went
That's
off
alright.
right, but
No, no, you're doing great.
yeah,
So how did you the question was how did you break in and you just dove in.
I just dove in.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
I just
it's
dove in, and then, you get something after that, and then, that kind of thing, and so, yeah, it's like you said, it's about relationships with people, and once they know you're in the business, and I think if they already know you and trust you,
Right.
know, like, and trust.
Right.
But if they already know and like you and can trust you, I think they like,
might give you a shot.
I might give you a shot. That's right.
You are one of the other 4,000 agents they already know.
Yeah, and I'm not. And Phil and I, you said something earlier, because Phil and I are not from here. I mean, we feel like we're from here because we built our home in 2000 in Smyrna. So, how long do you have to live here to be from here? But
I don't. You're still not from here. Sorry.
I know it's funny. People say, no, you're not from here, and we are not. So, but when we're up against people who have been here forever, everybody, and so, yeah, but it is about relationships and getting to know people and serving your community and those kinds of things. And
for sure. All right. Well, final thoughts. What do you think is going to happen? Predict something for the rest of this year. We're just past the halfway point for the year. What's the second half of 2023 going to look like in real estate in Rutherford County?
Homes are still selling, so I'm positive. I'm going to be positive. I think rates are going to start hopefully coming down, even if it's a little bit, right? Just a little bit.
We need to get under 7.
They got to get under 7. Yeah,
got to get under.
If we get imagine if they got under 5, but they're not going to do that. I don't see that happening. Maybe in maybe in 2024. Maybe. Maybe. I mean, I'm positive that we're going to have. I mean, maybe things are going to be kind of, flat, right? I say flat. If you look at the data from last year to this year and things like that. But what was the one I was looking at last week where percentage of sales price, right, to list price? Last year at this time, it was
like 101.2.
I was going to say 102. I thought it was like 102. Now we're today
like 98.
99. I think
body,
it was
body temperature.
Yeah. Okay, that's not bad.
No. It just means that there's a little negotiation happening.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And there should be.
And that's normal.
Yeah.
And I'm thankful for it.
Yeah, same. I agree. All right, y'all. Natalie Wilson, Phil Wilson, in the ghost man on the chair over here. And this is the Wilson's Realtors out of the Parks office in Smyrna, the Bob Parks office in Smyrna, not Parks and Rec.
Not Parks and Rec.
In Smyrna. They happen to work in the same office as my mama. So anyway, love her. She's pretty great.
And we're going to keep her.
Yeah, you say that. No, I used to pick on Virginia all the time and tell her I was going to steal my mom from her. But the reality is I can't afford my mom yet.
Right.
So we're getting
That's
there.
good. Yeah.
No, that's not good. What are you talking about? That's not good at all. Oh, that's funny. All right. So if you need help with mortgage, give our friend Bryan Nale a call. We love Bryan. And if you need help with real estate, call me. And if I don't answer, then I guess if you want to, you can call Natalie as well. Anyway.
I love it.
Yeah, just picking a little bit. Great agents. There's not. There are some that are great, and there are some that are not, and you guys are some of the good ones. So that's awesome. All right, Trent, you got anything?
I do not. That was good stuff, though.
Nothing at all.
No, we just looking for supporters as always. Anybody that wants to put their name on these amazing shows or start their own show or anything like that, we're always looking to build and grow.
There you go. So outstanding.
Yep.
All right, you guys have a fantastic rest of the week. We'll talk to you again real soon.